Okay, so I found myself sitting in another boss's office, just kind of not knowing what to expect. Thought it was something different than what it was, but I'm sitting there and soon realized that yet another place where I'm at, I am being laid off, dismissed, whatever you want to call it. And so I remember sitting there vividly as the explanations coming across. And mind you, I've every job I've had, I've been asked to leave one way or another. And it was only the first one that I was asked to leave where it was kind of my fault. I was managing, and one of my employees had did something that caused me to take a fall for it as well. But besides that, normally has to do something with financial or just moving in a different direction, and you're told, we love you, but we're doing something else. So as I'm sitting there, I'm mad at myself for not taking the opportunity early to control my own destiny, to be an entrepreneur. And I had aspirations to be one, but I never took that leap. And so as I'm sitting there, I remember vividly, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, never again will I be in this situation. I would rather work my tail off and fail than go through this again. So today I thought, based on a suggestion I got from somebody, that we would talk about millennials, our young people, labels I don't like to use too much, but millennials and entrepreneurship. So welcome to the Rodney podcast. Let's dive in. Okay, so first I want to take a look at the future for millennials. Now, we are at a time of great prosperity. I think we're at a time where the future is bright because of technology, because of this thing called smartphones. And I think that the future will be very bright. And so for millennials, for young people, I see two different paths that they can fall into. And I'm going to kind of go this direction in order to kind of direct what I'm going to say as far as their future. And so one is a path that they're doomed. And what I mean by that is a couple of different things. Entitlement. I think there is a high level of entitlement among young people, among millennials, and it's possibly the parents' fault. It's possibly my generation's fault, where we have this expectation where we did everything for the kids. We did everything for them as they grew up. And so as a result, they kind of have this mentality that I deserve a trophy. I deserve to have this. Somebody needs to bring me this. It is not fair that my parents get this, so I need to get it too. And so they have this sense of entitlement that somebody owes them something. And because of that, the future is doomed, because as they become adults, they'll realize that's not how the world works. Could be laziness, okay? Video games, the lack of sports, fast food, the lack of good eating, all can create some laziness, to overweight, to weight gain. And I think that will doom our next generation. And so this kind of stems from, I understand that as we became a society to where we were more aware of maybe kidnappings, more aware of maybe sex trafficking, or all the horrible things we can think of, that we want to keep the kids safe. And so I remember as a kid going out and wanting to play with my friends, wanting to play football, activity, riding bikes, cops and robbers on bikes. And so all of that activity, and then with coming in home to a home-cooked meal, was different than today's society, to where maybe we're busy. Maybe there's so many things that the family is doing as far as working, that eating out has become the norm. And so kids have these things called video games now, where they can conversate with their friends. And so it's kind of the same thing, right? Where I was happy to go out and enjoy time with my friends and playing outside and not wanting to come in and not wanting to stop. It's the same thing, but with video games, where you are having fun with people that you meet, with your friends, and not wanting to stop. And then the last one, and I'll make a little disclaimer, is that people may get mad at me. This is just my opinion. This is just my observations. This is just my experience as I live. And so there's different opinions, and I'm not here to say what is right or wrong. I'm just trying to say what is. And so the whole epidemic with vaping, weed, whatever you want to say, ganja, whatever, that's prevalent too. And where I feel that maybe we're doomed, because I have seen where it has taken over people's lives. Then parents argue with the kid about trying to stop. The kid doesn't want to stop, and it just becomes this cycle. But what I have seen is that becomes an addiction. Vaping, nicotine, whatever it may be, weed, you can argue it's not addictive. But I have seen where it has led to people just kind of ruining their lives. Anyway, I'm not here to argue that. I'm just here to say that's one path that I see. Now, the other path is an endless possibility, again, due to this thing called the iPhone, where you can get paid for making videos, right? Who would have thought years ago about this thing called YouTube, where you can make a video and you can get revenue from that? And I tell you, running ads on social media to get your business going and everything else, just like Gary Vee says, that's huge. And until these big companies like Pepsi, GMC, all these other companies who are spending millions on network TV, when they find out that nobody's watching that stuff on network TV, that we are an on-demand society, that we like to go to our YouTube, there's tons of channels out there. There's hundreds of channels, probably thousands of channels, different programming that you can go to, and it's all on demand with a click of a button. That you have to find a different way to gather people's attention. Once they find that out, these ads will become expensive. And so possibilities of being your own producer, making your own content. I'm on podcast right now, making my own content, right? You can become influencers. You can get a following on Instagram and become an influencer and get paid for that. I mean, entrepreneurship is the way to go. But many people will fail. Many young people, many millennials will fail at it with the endless possibilities. So what am I going to say is the path to success? What are you saying, Rodney? Well, let's take a look at a few things. Okay, now school. There's different opinions on school. And I know, again, this is a hot button topic that maybe I can do for a different podcast where I can focus on it. And just as a disclaimer, I am a person who did finish high school. I did get a bachelor's and I do have a master's. So I have a lot of schooling in my background. Thought about getting a doctorate, still may do a doctorate or / PhD. But with that being said, the traditional way may not work unless you're a professional. Why? Because of school debt. And I have different opinions on school debt. I think that the country is crazy for guaranteeing loans. Basically, if you just go to school, you get money. But also, I know that some people, if they want to be professional, that may be the only way to do it. I have different philosophies on paying back that school debt, which I can go into on a different podcast again. But schools have become a business. I've noticed in a little background of me, I went and get a bachelor's degree right after high school, stopped for a little while, came back. And when I came back, I noticed that the schooling was maybe a little bit easier because I think school's a business right now. I don't know if the current school system as far as high school prepares kids for the future. And it depends on what school you go to, depends what kind of program you have. But I think it's more about getting results to get money / again, it's a business, than it is to really teach kids to be prepared for the future. It's all about getting to college, getting money, getting numbers going. I know it's a hot button topic. I can dive into that in different podcasts. Path to success, time. You have to be patient, right? It takes a long time. I see people get into something and get really excited about doing something and making their own path into entrepreneurship, especially young people. And then after a few months, they say, this is not working. This is taking too long. Why am I not getting followers? Why is my engagement down, not growing like it used to be? And I admit, sometimes I fall into that trap as well. But if you are patient and you have a long-term plan, this is a long game. It's a marathon. It's not a get rich quick, in my opinion. You can have quick success, but it's a long game. And so you want to be patient. People are living longer nowadays than ever before. So you have time, especially if you're in your 20s or younger, you have time. So here's an example. Okay, I think about all the people who are on this fitness track and who make programs and want to do, personal training online. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are listening who do this. And again, this is not to make anybody upset. This is just my own opinions. And I've shared this with people before too. But with these programs and stuff, I say give stuff away. Just give stuff away. Find people who will listen to you and will follow you, take pictures and update you with their progress, and give it about 5 years. Give it 5 years and just build this portfolio of people who have done your program, who have listened to you, that you just gave away for free or gave away for peanuts or not even charged, just gave away. Get referrals, you learn. Even the ones that fail. Maybe some people tried your program and then they didn't succeed. And you can just analyze that and say, what happened? Why did they give up? And then take it personal. Like Gary Vee says, it's your fault, right? Everything's your fault. And just look at it as your fault. You know what that does? Because I know people are sitting there saying, like, what if they just quit? What if it's their fault? What if they couldn't, Yeah, but when you say it's your fault, you're playing offense. You're finding out what you can do different to motivate the next person who may want to quit, right? It's a way to improve. And then after that 5 years, after you've built this portfolio of probably at least hundreds of people, you can approach Google or some other big company, and even small companies, whatever it can be. Just go to several companies and offer services to the company. And you have your data. Say, hey, guess what? Employees that are healthy miss less days and are more productive. Have your information there. Give them value, and they'll look at that and say, okay, yeah, that is true. If we can be more productive, right? And we can get people not being sick, not calling in, that will only improve our business. So what do you charge? You say, I can be a fitness consultant. I can offer services to all your employees, whatever it may be. And now you're playing the big game. That's just one idea that I just brainstormed that can work. Even you can go to small companies and do the same thing, right? It's about preparing value and being patient. And the reason why I say that is because how many programs are there out there that you can find if you do a quick Instagram search and just look at fitness people and online trainers? There's tons of them, right? And a lot of them succeed. But that's one way, is be patient. Another way is prepare to grind, right? Okay, now I have friends. They're going to hear this and say, he's talking about me. That I tease about having aesthetics, right? But I call them the alcohol aesthetics, because they love to party. Every time I see them on Snap, every time I see them on Instagram, it's a party, man. It's the clubs, it's the vaping, it's the drugs, it's the alcohol. Must be the alcohol. Okay. Yes. I'm not saying don't have fun. Look, if you have fun, that's fine. But understand the level of success that you're going to have is going to relate to how much time you're spending on the grind, right? And that can even become a buzzword too. You want to make sure you're productive, doing the right things, not just being busy. I mean, besides the partying, you can watch entire seasons of Netflix, of certain shows, video games. All of that is fine, but may not be beneficial for your success. And then another key is, let's not get fancy. I love that term that Gary Vee says, don't get fancy. And now I understand, okay, what I mean by fancy is you make a little bit of money and you go out and you spend it to be flashy. You spend it to kind of show off and say, look what I got. I got money. I hear people brag. I've heard somebody, YouTuber brag like, hey, you know what? I still got money. People think I'm broke. I just spent 30 grand into my car that I spent 150 grand for. Like, you're bragging about that. And I understand we all have vices. Look, I like cars. I like sunglasses. Sunglasses is a small one, right? I'll spend a good pretty penny, a couple $100 on sunglasses, but I'll keep them for 5 years, right? I like cars. I bought a brand new Roush Mustang GT, but that was back in 2011. And I have since paid it off. It took 2 years, paid it off. And I still have it to this day. And maybe eventually, after a couple of years, I'll get my Corvette that I want. But the thing is that I want to make sure that I'm in a place where it's not going to hurt, because I want to keep reinvesting in the business, in my business, and my entrepreneurship to keep advancing until it's a point to where that thing that I get is such a small percentage of my income that it doesn't hurt. You know, those who buy Gucci and Yeezys and all that stuff, that spend all that money on shoes and other things, I just think it's dumb. Again, it's my opinion. I just don't think it's smart. You know, the best phrase, again, this is borrowing from my man, Gary Vee. If you keep buying Gucci, you'll never own Gucci, right? And people say, I don't want to own Gucci. What do you mean? No, the mindset is you buy these expensive things, you'll never be able to own the companies that can produce or give you the income to make these expensive things, to allow you to buy these expensive things. So you wait, right? Don't get fancy. And I'll finish up with this. Millennials are set up to be successful entrepreneurs. That's my whole big thing. I think that they're primed and ready. And for to start, think about what you love to do. And that may change. It's okay. I've set out when I was in junior high and high school, I was set on being an electrical engineer. I was sure I was going to be an electrical engineer, right? That didn't pan out. I got to college, loved math, but did not like the physics. But there's a part of me, and I will admit this, looking back, there's a part of me that always liked real estate. Even as a junior high kid, I was fascinated when my family was looking at model homes and looking to move into a new house. And I remember just kept thinking about that. That's why now I own a real estate company, Trinity Real Estate, trinitycal.com. Little plug there. But things change and it takes a while. But just think about what you love to do. Because when you do this, when you go on this path to entrepreneurship, you're going to have to love the journey, right? If it's just a means to get rich, if you just say, I just want to have money and get paid, I don't think it will succeed the same way you would if you just take what you love, what your passion is, and say, I love the journey of going here and doing this, right? I love the journey of my real estate company, of getting people on board and growing, right? To being a nice brokerage, a nice size brokerage. You know, recently, a quick story. I had somebody on the street who ran across my website, was getting information. We were kind of communicating, and they wanted to sell their home. And long story short, I did not get that listing. And those failures, like Gary Vee says, you relish in those, because I sat back and said, okay, like, who did I lose to? Saw who they were, saw that they were also savvy on social media. And I said, yes, that's the person who I'm going to remember their name. And in about a year, I'm going to have them join my company. I'm going to have them leave their company where they're at now and join mine, because I'm going to convince them why they should join mine. That's the mindset I have as far as the long-term game, right? Now, also, enjoy your youth. Enjoy your 20s. Enjoy your youngness. Some are teenagers, right? But grind and go for the goals. Do not listen to the traditional past, right? The traditional mindset. This is the way you're supposed to do it. Again, maybe school is a different subject for a different day. I don't think college is all bad. I don't think it's for everybody. But as long as you grind and you have a purpose and a plan and a way to get there, I think you're fine. Understand you may have to do whatever it takes. You know, if you don't do the college route or whatever, or even if you do, understand that you may need to work that job as a busser. You may need to work that job as a server. You may need to go to Walmart and work. And then when you get off work, spend 4 or 5 hours on your entrepreneurship to build that up. You may have to live in your parents' basement for a while and give up all the fancy stuff in order to build what you love to do and to grow to this eventual entrepreneurship. I mentioned before, you may have to give stuff away. You may have to do stuff for free in order to build that portfolio, that experience, right? But whatever it is, enjoy what you do, whatever it may be. this has been a topic that I think I want to continue. I want to maybe do a series. Maybe I want to start interviewing young entrepreneurs. I think this is a topic that a lot of people will enjoy. Spread the word out there. Thank you for joining the Rodney podcast. We're going to have more entrepreneurship podcasts to come. Thanks, everybody. See you in the next one.